Embla Books presents Echoes on a Cornish River, written by Kate Ryder and read by Olivia Darnley. Prologue. The overhead lights are bright as Ellinor Forrester takes her seat. She feels a headache coming on and wishes she were anywhere but here at the airline's headquarters. In fact, all she wants is to lay her head on a soft pillow, close her eyes and drift off into oblivion. "We realize this is difficult for you," one of the male airline officials says, giving her a kindly smile. "But if you could describe what happened on board the flight." She stares at the two men sitting on the opposite side of the conference table, along with Helen Matthews, the woman from HR. Desperately, Ellinor looks around the sleek office. But there's no chance of escape. She has to do this. She takes a deep breath, determined to be as unemotional but descriptive as possible. The flight started uneventfully enough, with no hint of what was to unfold. She pauses, trying to gain control of the emotion rising in her throat. "In your own time," the man says. "Would you like some water?" She nods. "Please." Helen rises to her feet. Pouring water from a carafe, she passes a glass to Ellinor across the table with an encouraging smile. "Thank you." Ellinor makes brief eye contact with the woman. Attempting to still her shaking hand, she takes a sip of the cool liquid and tries again. "I was working business class, and as a seasoned flight attendant with extensive training in passenger safety, I believed I'd be able to effectively deal with emergencies of any nature. However, 3 hours into the flight, a man singled me out from the rest of the cabin crew. I was unaware of him until he was immediately behind me. It was as if he'd come out of nowhere." She stops and grits her teeth. If she can imagine it happened to someone else, maybe she'll be able to survive this interview without breaking down. Attempting to distance herself from the incident, Ellinor relays the order of events. "The first moment I knew something wasn't right was when he wrapped his arm tightly around my neck and dug a hard object into the small of my back. He was a large man and towered over me, and I was powerless to prevent him from forcing me along the aisle towards the cockpit." She closes her eyes briefly and composes herself. "It was only when he turned me to face the length of the cabin and removed the object pressing against my spine that I caught sight of a flash of steel from the cold blade of a knife as he brought it up under my jawline. The man was sweating profusely, and I picked up on his unhinged emotions." She glances guiltily at her interviewers. "My legs threatened to buckle, and I'm sorry to say that all my safety training deserted me." She takes another sip of water. It's as if the floodgates have opened, and now that she's started talking, she can't stop. "My captor's arm pressed against my windpipe, and I struggled to draw breath. I was consumed with the sense of helplessness, and the passengers' expressions quickly turned to shock as the seriousness of the unfolding drama dawned on them. That was the worst of it. My complete lack of control over the situation. It was as if I was watching actors in a disaster movie. I saw my colleague, Karen Tate, walking calmly down the aisle towards us, and outwardly she seemed unconcerned by what was happening. Despite being consumed with terror, I was full of admiration for her composure." Ellinor stops and gazes out of the window, but she doesn't see the colour of the sky or the bank of trees bordering the land surrounding the building. She's back on board, a captive. "What happened next?" the other male official prompts. Ellinor's eyes flick to the man. "Karen
Sample complete. Ready to continue?